So, the 7-year itch. Will you get a divorce? Will you take that leap of, this is it, the end, finish, we're over with, done. This is now complete. This relationship, this marriage is actually taking its course, and I am ready to move on, or we are both ready to move on. Now let's talk about the 7-year itch and what it actually means. Is it myth? Is it reality? And then I'm also going to give you 5 ways for you to realize or know that you're coming upon the danger zone of the 7-year itch. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of history about this thing in particular, because one thing is that people have a tendency to separate at or around the 7-year mark, and it has much more to do with the little things not being right than it does speak to one major big problem. It's usually a lot of little things that are not going right, and then things just start to pile up. They start to add up. And so what they actually found is that around the research actually shows that in between 1922 and 1990, they did some research, and they actually took like the medium, basically the medium of people that got divorced in this time frame. And what they found is that around year 7 is where a lot of people decided to divorce, to separate, to walk away. But in recent years, it has actually dropped down to year 4. And so what it actually shows is that around year 4 is where the first sign of real dissatisfaction comes into play. And that is because the honeymoon stage is over with. Now, the honeymoon stage lasts anywhere from 3 months to 3 years. So it just depends on you. It depends on your relationship. But by year 4, you totally can see the real person that's in front of you. And most people are dissatisfied with the person that's in front of them. And it's mainly because of we have a fantasy. Yes, every one of us have a fantasy about the woman, about the man that we decide to build a life with. And then when the real person shows up, or maybe you deciding to take off your rose-colored glasses, you can actually see the real person. Then it's like, did I really choose him? Did I really choose her? Is he this immature? Is she this immature? So we have a lot of thoughts going around in our head at that time, around year 4. Again, it's when you really, really see who your spouse actually is, and the fantasy has now run away. So that's year 4. Year 7 is when most people have children. Now, it's not to say that most people are starting to have families then. It's when most people have children within the household around year 7. And they find that one or both spouses are giving most of the attention to the child or children, and they are neglecting the relationship. They are neglecting each other, or one spouse is neglecting the other. So year 4, again, is when the honeymoon stage is completely gone. Year 7 is when the children are in the home, and it's something about you giving your attention now to your child or your children, and you're not allocating enough time to your spouse. So most couples feel a decline in satisfaction around the honeymoon stage and the merging of their lives coming together as one. Again, I talked about this before. It is a lot tougher to merge your lives together and to become one. It's a lot tougher than any of us are even prepared for. Now, is this everybody? Again, no, it's not across the board, but it is the majority of relationships where they have a tough time becoming one. They have a tough time getting through or recognizing and realizing who's actually in front of us. So the very first thing that can tell if your relationship is on the decline, if you feel dissatisfied in more than one aspect of your relationship, you could be headed for that 7-year itch to say, nah, this ain't working out. So take inventory. How many areas in your relationship are you dissatisfied with? If it's more than one, You could be, because this is not the catch-all be-all. You're going to be ready to leave. But you want to get a good inventory. You want to take a good inventory on your relationship to say yes or no, just so you can have an idea at this point. The second thing that could be heading you down the road of divorce, again, around the 7-year itch time frame, is you guys keep having the same fight over and over again. There's never any resolution to it. Neither one of you could come to a solution to say, okay, this is how we're going to handle this, or we're never going to talk about this, or we're going to table this, or whenever this comes up, this is how we're going to handle things. Nobody is doing that. Nobody is, stepping out of the comfort zone, or, wanting to be the bigger party to put things in perspective and put things in their particular order. So you keep having the same fight over and over again because one or both parties does not want to relent. You do not want to give up whatever it is that you keep fighting about. You think that thing, that person, that place that you want to hang out is more important than satisfying your spouse. And so because you guys keep having these same fights, conversation, argument over and over and over again, it has taken a very big toll on your relationship, and you could be heading for divorce, again, the 7-year itch to completely change your life and specifically your relationship around, meaning you're moving on without your spouse. The third thing is that you guys no longer share one activity together. You don't even have any activities together at all. You can't even find one thing that you guys like doing together and sharing that thing with each other. If you can find nothing, that's a big problem. That's a big problem if you guys are now basically living completely different lives. You have nothing in common any longer. That's a big problem. Number 4. When you speak, when you talk, you guys only focus on the things that have to do with the children or child. You're talking about the doctor's appointments. You're talking about which activity they need to go to, whose party they need to go to, where they need to be. They were sick. You're texting, you're calling, but it's always about the children. You guys are absolutely headed to the divorce court, because you have to be able to speak about much more than just your children. Yes, they're an important part of your relationship, but they're not everything in your relationship. You guys have to nurture and continue to build your own relationship, because at some point your children or child is going to grow up and he or she will leave the nest. Even if you keeping them longer for, to set them up for college or whatever it is, you're keeping them longer in the household. At some point, your child and children will be gone and the nest will be empty. And then you and your spouse will be there again if you make it past the 7-year itch mark. Now, are there other milestones? Yes, but we're talking about the 7-year itch mark today. The 5th and final thing where you guys, will it end in divorce? Will the 7-year itch come in and take over your life? If you guys don't get a handle on things, if you don't swallow your pride, if you don't swallow your ego, if you guys stop apologizing, if you get sick and tired of going back to the spouse saying, I'm sorry, or if you get sick and tired of just initiating, it will end in divorce. And that is because, number 5, you guys have decided to take one another for granted. At some point, you both have to say, you know what? I know what my part is in this. And now at some point, you're making a decision, both of you, even if you didn't start it, you're making a decision to say, you know what? I don't want to apologize. I'm just going to be silent. Or I just want to do whatever it is that I want to do. I don't want to do that thing, which is to say I'm sorry, to apologize, to move forward, to keep the relationship moving forward. It's going to stay stale. It's going to stay stagnant. It's actually going to die right there. If you allow your pride to stay there, the relationship will die right there. If you allow your pride and ego to stay there, the relationship will stop right there. There will no longer be any growth there. If you continue to stonewall and shut down and shut out your partner for extended periods of time, and then both of you are stubborn enough not to say I'm sorry, at some point, that's a choice. At some point, you have to take responsibility for how you showed up. Again, even if you did not start it. Somebody has to break the ice. Somebody has to break down the barrier. Somebody has to break down that brick wall that both of you have now built. Maybe in the beginning, it was one party. But as time goes on, as the distance goes in there and as the distance grows, this is when I hear my clients actually say, I have no idea how to turn this thing around. It's because you allowed your pride and ego to stay in there so long. And now it's so tough to even go to your spouse to say, I'm sorry. And you know what's even funnier and sad at the same time is that most of the time, anytime you get into an argument, most of the time it's stupid. Most of the time you can't even remember why you was arguing. Like, let somebody ask you a week later, why was y'all fighting? Or, well, why did you end up giving her the silent treatment? It's usually something stupid. All because you want to be right. You don't want to relent. You don't want to look weak. You would rather let everything that you work so hard to get and build die than look weak. If this sounds like something that you need to work on and you're sincerely open to the idea of getting help, go and make an appointment so you and I can chat about how to get you on the right track to reclaiming the relationship that you want. Again, Marshauno here, your favorite life and relationship strategist. I love you guys, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And you keep coming back to Marshauno because you want to be a part of the top 1% of couples that have extraordinary relationships. You can only do that if you get rid of your pride. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy to do that, but it is worth it if you do it. You don't have to make the choice, even when you're not choosing, you're making a choice. You don't have to make the choice to allow your family, to allow your relationship to go downhill when it's something as simple as your pride and ego. We allow these words to overtake, to overshadow, to decline our marriages, to decline our relationships, and even kill them all together. I'll talk to you guys very, very soon. All right? Bye.